Last time on Square Roots, we met some penguins, and some kitties, and some zombies, and some Lutsies, and it turned out the real Lutz was the friends we make along the way.
Hey everyone, and welcome to Square Roots, the classic RPG podcast. My name is Jim Banks. I am joined by Matthew Van Zant.
Heyo.
The ghost of John Brandon, who I think might still be in bed.
Hey everyone, I'm John. Oh, I'm John.
And Vanessa.
I'm Vanessa.
And this is a podcast where we play and talk about our favorite classic RPGs, except for Bard's Tale. In this case, is this part 4 of our Phantasy Star IV series?
Yes, maybe.
Wow, that's like double fours.
Yeah.
Yeah, this is part 4, and next week part 5 is the end, right?
Yes, we are almost to the end of the game
Alright.
at this point.
Finally almost done with this piece of shit game.
Oh, hey, come on.
Game's okay.
This isn't a Bard's Tale.
Yeah, I was more excited when we started. Now I'm a little worn out on it, but yeah, it's fine.
Yeah, it's almost
It's
over.
alright.
So this episode we're playing from Gumbius Temple to... Gumbius Temple? It's a Gumbius Temple to the introduction of Seth, the mustachioed archaeologist.
At the Soldier's Temple.
Is that the Soldiers? It is the Soldiers Temple.
It is indeed.
But before we get into that, let's talk about how we leveled up.
Yeah.
I started playing the video game Prey. From 2017. It's a pretty fun game. It's cool to be able to turn yourself into mugs and spools of wire to fool aliens.
Ah,
That sounds
I just
amazing.
picked that up on the PlayStation Classic sale. I am excited to play it.
It's pretty fun, and it's cool to be able to hit stuff with a wrench and blow stuff up with guns, and it's a fun game. And I also started and finished watching a show on Netflix called The Frankenstein Chronicles.
Oh, I think you mean Frankenstein's Monster Chronicles.
Kind of. Sean Bean plays a detective who's investigating a murder that seems to be inspired by Mary Shelley's Frankenstein.
Is this a contemporary show?
It is not. It takes place, I think it's maybe 10 or 15 years after the publication of that novel.
Interesting.
Ah.
Yeah. So he plays like an old-timey detective in London.
You said that, you said that you watched both seasons. Are there any more seasons forthcoming?
I heard that there may be a third, but I think it's up to Netflix at this point. I think Netflix bought the rights to the show, so they aired the first 2 seasons that had already been produced, and then I think it's up to them whether they want to produce another season. But it's a pretty good show. Sean Bean is in that like craggy-faced sad man point in his career, and he's really good at it.
When does he die in this series? In the first season? Second season?
I mean, this is a spoiler, so I guess take your headphones off if you don't want to hear it, and definitely bleep this in editing. But he at the end of the in the second season.
Interesting.
Yeah. It's pretty good. Vanessa, how'd you level up?
Jim, I've been sick.
That doesn't count as a level.
It's a level horizontal, as in level horizontal to my bed for the past 3 days. It's not the flu, but it's flu adjacent, I would say. And it's really strange because I haven't had a fever or any real symptoms, just a whole bunch of fatigue. And if I try to move, I feel like I'm dying. So I pulled out one of my favorite games, Dishonored 2, and I completed a no-kill ghost run because that seemed like the best use of my bedridden time.
Man, I could never do that. I don't know why. I'm not good enough at that game to do that.
It takes a lot of reloading, but I just see that as like another of Emily's special powers. The power to reload from your last quick save. Thanks, outsider. And I also tried a little bit of Psycho Pass Mandatory Happiness, which was a PlayStation Plus game from this month or last month. I don't remember. Anyway, I was not familiar with the anime and I had no idea what I was getting into, but it was there, so I tried it. It's basically a choose your own adventure game.
Weird.
A lot of dialogue, not really animation, just like, Phoenix Wright style anime characters being
Some more
all blah, blah,
visual
blah, blah,
novel.
blah. Yeah, it's in Japanese, which is kind of cool. And it's subtitled. And I was going along, sort of figuring out this world, and was given this, like, non-lethal gun, so they said. And then I went and used it on a teenager, and the game said, oh, he explodes into chunks of flesh that splatter the wall. And I was like, what did I do? I was very upset about it. I thought I was just going to tase him, but apparently that is not exactly how this world works. It's an interesting, weird world. I don't know if I'll go back to it because Prey is downloading as I speak.
Ooh.
So probably that's what I'm going to play. Also, I saw Black Panther. It was great. Wakanda forever. Matt, how did you level up?
I also saw Black Panther, and it was great. Wakanda Forever. I actually had some nitpicks, but I don't want to get into it.
Oh, don't do that. Gross.
Yeah. Don't fucking gross me. I can find things that are not perfect with a movie.
You're in a movie. So could I, but I'm not going to talk about it.
Well, I just said I'm not going to talk about it. Some of the CGI
Well,
was
neither am
dodgy. I've only been doing one thing really, and that is playing PUBG.
What is PUBG?
Insanely hooked on PUBG right now. Like every free chance I get, I sit down and knock out a match or two.
You can
and lose.
knock out a match in like 10 or 15 minutes if you want.
I mean, yeah, if you don't want to win.
Yeah, the winning part takes another good chunk of that.
So I know nothing about this, but I assume that it stands for pub games,
Yes.
and it's sort of like a darts simulator, pool table simulator, whatever games you play in a pub simulator.
You take a bunch of drunk people and you drop them out of a plane onto an island covered in weapons, or with lots of weapons stashed away, and then you make them kill each other. That's
not what happened in pub.
Pub games.
Oh, I see. It's like the Hunger Games
for drunk people.
But with pub. Yeah.
I don't have a lot to say about it. I did win. I have won once, and I was very proud of myself. I
sincerely don't know what this is. Please explain.
You don't know what PlayerUnknown's Battlegrounds is?
Oh, well, you were using a fancy acronym.
Okay.
That's what everybody calls it, Vanessa. Come on.
Yes, it is. When I first got it, I actually was kind of disappointed and thought, like, maybe this isn't for me, maybe I don't like it, but I kept going back, and now I just can't quit you, PUBG. And I won once, and I started screaming like I had beaten the last Bloodborne boss. Anyway, that's it for me, guys. Let's move on into the quest log.
Let's do it.
Quest log.
I feel like the quest logs for this game is just a series of us saying stupid names. But we're going to start this with Gumbius Temple, which is another stupid name.
It's stupid.
Hey, Pokey, come on down to my temple so I can sacrifice you to my dark chaos god.
Oh, Gumby!
Gumby! Get Pokey, I'll bathe in your blood.
So what do we go here? We have to get the Eclipse Torch to deal with the evil trees.
Oh boy!
How is causing an eclipse gonna kill a tree?
Can we, before we dive into that, maybe kind of catch anybody up? What's happened thus far in this game? We're
on another planet now.
Yeah. So I don't know that anything that happened on the first planet was important, but we ended up leaving our planet to go save.
We were supposed to find the system that controlled all of the weather continental control stuff, right? Isn't that why we went
For
into space?
all of the planets in the galaxy, right?
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
And
Because
we
these guys
found a
have,
dark
like,
force
sweet-
there, didn't we?
We did. We killed it. We made friends with a Piccolo, but he got very sick. And the Piccolo was like, hey, the real threat is in some tower you have to go to. And
That's right.
then we met this lady who was being attracted by trees, and she's like, you have to go meet Lutz. He's the best, greatest, best Lutz, and he'll know what to do. So we went to Lutz's mansion to meet Lutz, but turns out Lutz was already with us because it was ruined the whole time, and he was just pretending.
What do you guys think about that twist? Is that a good twist? I don't
It's
know.
really weird.
is
And
strange.
he's been making fun of Chaz the whole time, but then he says, Chaz, you're my chosen soldier.
Yeah. Now they're best friends? It's really dumb.
I guess.
Yeah, I don't know what's going on.
I can see the character growth in the way of like, well, they've been spending all this time together. They're probably starting to become buddies, but at no point does it show that.
Yeah, also Rune/Lutz is kind of the worst character in the party now.
Yes. No. That Kira.
I think he is.
What's
He's the most powerful magician in the whole world, Jim. What are you talking
He
about?
dies a lot, though. At least
Yeah.
at least he does for me.
Everybody dies a lot for me these days.
Grim.
Got to use your macros, bro.
I do use my macros like a motherfucker. Piccolo sent us to Gratuitous Temple, but first we have to go to Gratuitous Tower, but first we have to go to Gumby's Temple? Mm-hmm. All right.
Yeah, Gumbius Temple to get the Eclipse Torch.
And now we're getting this because you mentioned that there were zombie trees that tried to eat us.
There were, yes.
So now we have to go get a special magic torch to burn the living trees,
I
living
guess.
forests to the ground.
Mm-hmm.
Pretty fucked, actually.
We go to do that, and 3 robed beings show up and steal the torch and like, haha, come find us. We're gonna be at the air castle. Or the airship. Do they call it an airship?
It's an air
No,
castle.
they called it an air castle.
Air castle, okay.
That's right. Was there a boss in this temple?
No.
No, this is just a temple.
Yeah.
Okay.
And they say, hey, the air castle was actually on that one planet that got blown up, so if it does exist, it's gotta be in this asteroid belt. So we go into space, and what do you know? It's in the asteroid belt.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. It's totally fine. It's just you land there and there's breathable air and it's a intact, lovely castle.
The dudes that stole the torch also gave us a clue as to who we would be facing on the air castle, in the air castle.
I guess I think that's a throwback to like Phantasy Star 1 or 2. They're like, you know who's in here if you have Lutz's memories.
Yeah.
I didn't understand that.
I mean, I just kind of put it together via context, but yeah. So, some old enemy of Lutz's is controlling the air tower and has stolen this torch to force Lutz Rune to come face him. Mm-hmm. So this is basically an entirely unnecessary subplot that does nothing.
It is, and it's a really frustrating one because the air castle takes about 10 years to get through.
It's forever.
God. I've never hated an air castle more. I was so tired of this.
It's really boring. It doesn't have switches and levers that you pull to reveal paths or anything. You just tromp along forever through this giant castle.
Yeah, and it's not like you can get lost in it.
Getting stopped to fight monsters once every 3 seconds.
Mm-hmm.
There was a period of time when I was counting the seconds between fights as I walked along, and it was 2 to 3 seconds. Every 2 to 3 seconds, I would get in a random battle, and I was ready to scream.
Up to the point, like, you make your way through the castle, and eventually you get to the 3 road figures, but the encounter rate is insanely high up until you meet these guys, but then after you fight them, it decreases a little bit until you get back into that basement.
Right. Well, the first time you see them, they are kind of flickering. And Chaz is like, oh, these are just illusions.
But you still can't pass them.
Yeah, they deduce that they need to go kill the real guys in
So
order
just
to get past the illusions.
Just to clarify this, basically what's happening is we have to do the air castle dungeon all the way to some shitty boss that I want to yell about. And then you have to go do the air castle's basement because they just don't want you to leave.
Yep.
And there are no rooms or chambers in this castle with furniture, which is something I find very confusing about a lot of these old RPGs. Who's building these giant castles with no rooms or furniture or any kind of habitability? What's the point of them?
Yeah, just this whole castle is just a series of hallways.
Yeah, you want a bedroom, you want a bathroom,
And this
you
is a
want
castle
dining
in
room,
space.
you want a space viewing room, you probably want like a billiards room. I mean, it's a castle. Dream big.
Yeah, there's no media rooms. Come on, put a
There's
theater
no
room in that
media
thing.
room. Yeah.
There's got to be a
Where's
pool.
my man cave?
Where's the gym? Not you, Jim. The
Oh,
gym,
not
Jim.
me. Okay, I was gonna be like, hey, I'm right here. So yeah, we make our way through this castle, this long, frustrating, enemy-ridden castle, until we get to the 3 robed figures, and we have to fight them. These guys are hard.
I didn't have a hard time with these guys.
They don't have I mean, it really depends on what your strategy is. Like, I just went, okay, like, I'm just gonna attack these guys until they're dead. But that's not the right decision because they will kill your party very quickly if you're not at least a little defensive. So, use your barriers and your whatnot. And you should do
Barrier,
fine.
Saner, D-Ban. Somebody had one more. Another character has another one. They're all like increased defense, increased agility.
Yeah.
These names still irritate me.
You know what, Vanessa? They irritate the shit out of me as well. This is obnoxious.
If you're gonna translate a game anyway, just call it fire.
I
Call
know.
it shield. Call it
God damn
ice.
it.
It doesn't make any sense.
Particularly the status effects, because those are like, I can remember Foy and Gra and that stuff. And I get that the second tier is Guy, so it's like Guy Foy, and the third tier is Na, so it's Na Foy. But the status effects are all just random words. Most they don't mean anything. They don't mean anything to do with what they do.
You know
They mean nothing.
what's crazy is our characters' spells have stupid names like Gilfoy and Flaley, but the enemy spells are like lightning shower.
Yeah!
Like, why can't we have those?
Also, can I just get a lightning shower spell? That's cool. All right, so we beat these 3 guys, and then now there's a boss before this, right? There's 2 bosses in this temple.
Yeah, this is the first boss.
The second boss, I just want to make sure that I've got this right. The second boss is the robed dude that had the lightning rain spell.
Yeah, that's Laschiec.
Okay. Yes. Please continue. Thank you.
Okay.
I thought that I had gotten stuck on the first boss in this castle, but it was the second boss.
Yeah, so we defeat the 3 robed figures who are named collectively Ziathul. That's how I'm going to pronounce that.
Okay.
And we make our way to the basement once we go through the door that they were blocking with their illusions. And the basement is another super long maze.
It's super irritating because it makes you go all the way down to the bottom of the basement and then all the way up on the other side.
Yeah, I didn't understand. Like, I was like, okay, as long as I keep going down, I'll eventually find out where I'm supposed to go. But then you have to go down and then up and then down again. Mm-hmm. It doesn't make any sense.
The game tries to be kind of cool by showing you glimpses of the levels below you as you're kind of walking on the topmost level. It's a nice try at some graphic interest.
But there's not much to this maze. Like, it's not like Vanessa said about the castle. There are no switches, no moving of anything around. Just make your way through it until you find a big platform that's got a chest on it. Mm-hmm. The chest, you think it's going to contain the Eclipse Torch, and it does, but it's a fake one, I guess.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it's called like fake Eclipse Torch or something.
Yeah. And then a giant horned man named Laschiec shows up and says that he's working for Dark Force, and now he's going to murder Lutz.
He also implies that he's always worked for Dark Force, like he's trapped in some sort of cycle where he dies and is reborn to serve Dark Force.
There's a lot of that going on in this game because Dark Force is a thing that just keeps happening. Like Phantasy Star 1, 2, and 3, Dark Force. Phantasy Star 4, Dark Force. I'm assuming Laschiec is the same thing, where he just constantly gets, like... this game needs
that's
to
what he
reinvent
says.
itself a little bit.
Yeah. But yeah, that's what he says. He says that every time Dark Force is reborn, he's reborn or he comes back somehow. And he's, I'll face you again in the future. Except for you won't, because this was the last of the numbered Fantasy Stars. Which
More
good.
like a La Freak, am I right?
Yeah.
Because you know what sucks? I don't want to go back and play the older Fantasy Stars, because I guess I already know everything to know about it.
This game also takes a break every 15 minutes to tell you about what happened in the previous Fantasy Stars.
Yeah. And to go on about Alice, which they're obsessed with.
I know.
Should I
geez.
start ranting about Laschiec now, or do you guys want to get your feelings out on this?
No, rant. Go for it. Get after it.
Fucking
Yeah.
Laschiec is such a piece of shit, difficult asshole boss. He does hundreds of damage in one attack to your entire party. People die constantly. I fought this motherfucker like 6 times. And listen, I don't know how to kind of phrase this, but let's just say that I got stuck in a position where all I could do was this fight over and over and over again until I won, or I was going to be stuck in this game. I was not going to be able to progress at all.
Did you save your state at the beginning of the battle?
Sure as fuck did. And my last state was never. And I had never saved the game in game.
I haven't either.
So I meant to load out of that fight because I wanted to do some healing up and prep, and instead, or maybe go back out and regen the TP. And instead I couldn't, and I just had to keep fighting this piece of shit. So, he's very frustrating, but I will say I did finally defeat him. Chaz was the only person left alive. His hit points were in the single digits.
Oh.
Nice. But so tell me, what were you having your characters do? Because I was doing a lot of damage having Chaz do, I think it's Ray Blade? Ray Blade? Is that what it is? And then, having the other characters do support, and then I think Rune was doing some kind of magic.
That's a compelling story of your epic battle with
but I beat
Laschiec.
this guy on the first try, I guess is what I'm trying to say.
Yeah, I did too, and I don't remember what I did.
Well, that's even less compelling than what I said.
Fair. So, this Laschiec guy, he is pretty chic, as his name would imply. He has a beautiful flowing tattered cloak, a nice skirt, and some gold shoulder pads that really make a statement.
Yeah, and he actually looks, I think he's wearing a helmet. Is his helmet the thing that has horns on it?
Yeah, I think that he has a helmet with horns, and his face, unfortunately, is a zombie face.
With red eyes.
Yeah, and that's not really a very chic look. When I think chic, I think smooth, I think together. I don't think rotting flesh dripping off my face.
Very intimidating, though.
Mm-hmm.
He is a spooky spookum. But eventually, you stab him to death with your laser sword.
Mm-hmm.
Actually, so you defeat him in battle, and then I guess he's since he's so much taller than you, is holding the Eclipse Torch above his head and telling you how you can't have it.
Yeah, basically.
Yeah, and then Rika just jumps up and grabs it, and then he disintegrates.
Yeah.
Yeah, he literally screams, "I'm melting."
Yeah.
He does.
He does. And
It's insane.
I felt kind of bad for him because he went through a lot of trouble to get Rune there. And in the end, it was for naught.
He also drops a hint that he's, he doesn't drop a hint. He's very explicit about it. He's working for Dark Force, so there's obviously another Dark Force around somewhere.
I have to say, I think that Laschiec coming, as nonsense as this was to the actual, plot of the game, as what a waste of time it was, I think it's pretty baller that this old bad guy comes back and is just you know what? I'm gonna set up a death castle and kill your fucking ass 2,000 years after you beat me. 'Cause fuck you. And it has nothing to do with anything.
Yeah.
It's literally just hey, fuck you. I hate you.
I would love if in Final Fantasy 15, Seymour had shown up and be like, "It's me, Seymour Guado. I'm still trying to destroy the world."
I'm still playing Final Fantasy 15 mobile, so maybe he will?
Oh, it could happen.
It is, if you think about it, what is the goal of Dark Force? Is it just to destroy stuff?
Yeah, I'm sure he just wants to cover the universe in darkness or some fucking nonsense.
From Laschiec's perspective, he's really not doing that very actively. He's just kind of camped out at his space castle until Lutz shows up. He's not advancing the agenda of Dark Force very well.
Well, he's got before he steals the torch, I guess. Yeah, he's doing nothing.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Who knows how long he's been there?
So when he steals the torch, he's trapping them from being able to get to the next blah, 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 blah. But
you know what he should have done is lured him to that castle and then blew up that fucking castle.
Yeah, man. Like, you're immortal anyway.
Yeah.
Better to get blowed up in your own castle than to get melted by your worst enemy.
He didn't even have to be on the castle. He could have been on another planet and just remotely blown it up like everything else gets blown up in this game.
Those people can't breathe in outer space. Maybe the robot would survive. But...
You don't know.
Well, I don't know.
All right, so we get the torch, and then we have to go back to Dezoris to use it. So we go back to Gumbia's temple, and the priest says, "Hey, thanks for getting this torch, and you can go ahead and use it at the carnivorous forest." So we go do that, and we get this little. It's not an animation, but it's this little illustration of Chaz holding up the torch and destroying the forest, which was strange because they made Chaz look like the super muscular hero guy.
Right.
When he talks like a little baby and everybody treats him like a baby.
Yeah.
He's the worst.
He is the worst.
Do you guys want to have a sidebar about how fucking lame Chaz is?
He's terrible.
I would take Zidane over this guy. He's just like a blank slate.
Yeah. He kind of whines a little bit. He looks in everyone's drawers and comments on their underwear.
Mm-hmm.
He looks in his own cabinet at one point and says, "There's so many underwear in here." I'm like, that's your underwear, Chaz.
All right. Quick question. Chaz, better or worse than the Bard?
Oh.
He's better than the Bard in that he's not outwardly disdainful of everyone that's not him.
Yeah.
Yeah, but as a character, he has nothing.
He has less
no personality.
That's true.
Like, the Bard is a better character?
I mean, the Bard actively commits rape by fraud multiple times in the game.
Let me rephrase that. The Bard is a better written character and a better realized character.
That's true.
Mm-hmm.
He's not an enjoyable character, but he is a character.
I mean, Carrie always made me laugh once or twice.
Well, Carrie Elwes has made all of us laugh, but not necessarily during the Bard's Tale.
Nah, you know you got a chuckle out of that game.
Maybe.
All right. So, and that's it. Thank you for listening to Square Roots. I'm Matthew Van Zandt.
We still have a really gross dungeon to talk about.
Oh, nope. Bukkake Dungeon.
Nope, we're not going to talk about it.
We are going to talk about it.
Okay,
so many
listen,
vaginas.
I have something to say.
Okay.
So much semen.
This game had prepared me for some things. It prepared me for kittens in a cave. It prepared me for cute, poofy penguins. It prepared me for air castles. It did not prepare me to walk through a literal vagina door into a flesh cave of jism. And it probably sounds to listeners who haven't played the game that I'm exaggerating what happened. No, that is what happened. You approach this temple tower. Are we calling it a tower?
It's the tower, yes. This is Gratuitous Tower, and it's well named.
You walk to a wall of flesh. It parts open into a, I guess you would call it sort of an oval opening, like two lips of a mouth opening themselves.
Mm-hmm.
You walk through the door.
No teeth, though. It's weird.
No teeth, yeah. And sort of rather than being horizontal, it's vertical.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
And you walk into a pink and red sort of textured room with clear globs of something all over the walls and floor.
Okay, so I'm just going to come out and say it. This castle is, it's not that it looks like this. It is clearly meant to be a vagina that has just recently finished coitus and is still filled with all of that semen, and you are going to go give it an abortion.
Mm-hmm. And it gets worse because as you walk through, you find an eyeball.
Oh my God, that's right.
From the floor.
Oh boy.
And you walk up to the protruding eyeball and touch it, and then all of the walls start to quiver in excitement because I guess you found just the right spot to interact with.
Yeah,
in this tower.
The eyeball.
Yeah. And there's some chests, but you have to like pry them out of the flesh.
But I will say this. The rumbly eyeball that makes everything quiver does open a section of wall. So at least there was kind of some, secrets to this dungeon.
It was not a boring dungeon. It was upsetting and terrible.
Yeah,
but
another question.
It was engaging.
Vanessa, why was that vagina filled with robots?
Well,
why were there so many robots in that?
Sometimes a lady finds herself in a position where organic material just isn't accomplishing what she wants to accomplish.
Yep.
So I assume that's what happened here.
I don't understand what you mean. Can you elaborate?
Sure. There are some things which biological creatures can do, and there are some things which a robot can do, and sometimes they are different things.
But why robot do?
What robot do is beep and click and whir, and I really think it's the whirring part that is most important for a robot's functionality.
Is it a whir? I thought it was more of a rumble.
Well, if you already know, why are you asking me about it?
Okay, moving on.
All right.
Gratuitous Temple. It's disgusting. And
it's horrible.
You make your way through it.
And then, as you're going through, you eventually find some tubes of green matter.
Oh my God, that's right.
Pumped through the temple.
Oh my God. And some of those tubes are hooked up to things that literally do just look like vaginas poking out of the ground. With these green tubes, with these tubes with like puke green liquid bubbling through them.
I guess they're milking it? I don't know.
Oh boy.
Oh man. I have something I want to say about this. Is that
this is the tower, right?
Up to this point, this game seemed relatively like kind of timeless sci-fi, but you go into this and this is a fucking 90s dungeon. The 90s loved, like if this game was rendered in current gen graphics, I would have thrown up all over my screen.
Yeah.
Like the 90s just loved making you feel like you were going to throw up.
Yeah. I mean, listen, we're going to make you wade through all this bukkake and at the end you'll fight. I don't remember who the boss here was, actually.
The boss here is Dark Force, bro.
Me neither. I was too disturbed.
Oh, you're right. It is Dark Force.
Oh, that's right. I guess this is Dark Force's birthing place on this world.
This is his birth valley.
Mm-hmm.
Did you guys talk about the eyeballs?
We did. Yeah, that is the worst part is the eyeballs, which I don't think I really expressed that they are sitting on kind of flesh stalks. Like, it's not an eyeball that's set into a face like you would desire an eyeball to be. It is just a free-floating eyeball plunked on the top of a flesh stalk.
The second eyeball, I was never sure if I actually touched it or not, because you have to touch them, you know?
Right. To make it quiver.
Yeah, but I don't remember it quivering, so I spent like 10 minutes trying to adjust my character in such a way that I was sure that I was actually hitting the command button.
Yeah, a lot of men need to do that, but it's okay. just give it your best go.
Dang. But yeah, we do eventually hit Dark Force, and it's a pretty tough boss.
Yeah, and it's sort of lodged itself into the wall.
I don't understand that. Like, what exactly is... It looks like an insect, but yeah, it looks like it's coming out of the wall.
Mm-hmm. I guess it's emerging from its birthin' place.
Birthin'?
Yeah, it's Birth Valley. It's special Birth Valley. So yeah, it looked like a spider, scorpion, insecty kind of thing.
We're at 40 minutes. Are we at the end of this episode?
Basically.
Kind of towards the end.
Is this like,
Yeah.
is without John, we have nothing to talk about?
That's right.
Is this the first time John's not been on a show?
He's missed one before, I think.
Well, if John's editing this week, he can just edit in his own comments about
That
these
actually would
areas.
be really funny.
It would be.
I feel like I'm in my dream and sleeping right now, and yet I can hear you and communicate with you, which is crazy. So, in my dream here, I am currently at a sweaty gym wrestling with Bam Bam Bigelow and the Big Show and that Otis guy. And, well, I don't really need to tell you the further details of that, except that we are doing tag team, and it is not a cage match, and we're having a good time. Anyway, so let's see, what have you got wrong? Laschiec, Laschiec was Laschiec in the first game, depending on the translation. And I don't believe Laschiec was in the second game, but I never finished it. And he was not in the third game. The third game's pretty different. And also, it's Garuberk Tower, not Gratuitous Tower, as Matthew would say. So that's one big difference. Otherwise, you're doing a great job. Maybe I'll float back in through my dream and come back later. Goodbye.
He could explain everything we're missing about the plot and why this guy hated Lutz and everything.
I mean,
Please
I think
do that, John.
I think you can infer it pretty easily, as he was a bad guy that Lutz and crew beat in game 1 or maybe game 2. Who was the pirate?
So simplistic.
You know,
Pirate Tyler?
the problem, Vanessa, since you say that, is after 2 years of doing this, all of these games have this same plot, basically, or at least most of them do, and I'm getting very tired of it.
Well, that kind of how game go.
But why is that kind of how game go? Game go have to go that way? Game can
Game
go anywhere
Go-
game want. We could have a detective
Go-
story. We could have I don't know.
Game go, like, it start with low stakes and build up the stakes so that at the very end you have the highest stakes.
This is, all these JRPGs and most RPGs are just a traditional hero story. You can start with low stakes and build the higher stakes in any other kind of story. All we get are these hero's journeys instead of any other take on any of these, genres. All right, this is Matt's boring corner. Let's move on.
I think to your point though, I would like a detective story RPG, please.
I mean, isn't that what Persona 4 is?
Kind of.
That's true.
But isn't that one also, it's still going to be a hero's journey at the end. I'm just saying,
Yeah.
it's a minor complaint.
Oh, did you guys encounter in this vagina the zombie enemies that attack you with something called bad smell?
Yes.
What's going on with that?
I took offense to that.
Did you take offense to that?
I did.
You think that the living dead
It's
smell good?
2018. No, I mean, come on. You know what I'm saying.
Oh, you talking? Are you referencing hygiene?
Yeah. It's 2018. And ladies, you don't need to do that to yourself.
What?
That's cleaning out all of the good bacteria.
Don't throw off your pH balance. Yeah, exactly.
You need those opportunistic bacterias.
That's right.
What? All right, I don't even know.
Moving on.
Moving on.
This is the sex ed portion of our show.
Hey, ladies, don't misinterpret me as to be saying that you shouldn't be able to do or should do whatever you want with your body.
Yeah, our body's our choice.
That's true.
Yeah. But
Yeah.
you know what? It's probably not super healthy to have all that stuff hanging out in there, like all of the,
Robots.
The robots and the zombies.
that's painting the walls and
Yeah.
Dark forces.
The
eyeballs.
eyeballs. Yeah.
All of that tubing.
Yeah, the tubing is kind of an issue.
The eyeballs, that's a little, because
Yeah.
there's 2 or 3 of them. Kind of spread out.
there is an infection as well as a dark force hiding in there. By the way, dark force looks like a
A growth.
what I imagine a crab looks like.
Yeah.
What do you mean what you imagine
true.
a crab looks like? You don't know what a crab looks like?
I meant crab like the sexually transmitted
Oh, those are just lice. I know what those look like.
Those are just pubic lice.
So, Dark Force. He looks like a crab, according to Jim. He's got two big... He's got little pinchers.
Big angry crab.
And, like, stalk eyes. Crabs have eyes on stalks, right?
I think hermit crabs do, don't they?
Mm-hmm. But Dark Force does not. They're set into his skull plate.
Yeah, but he's got like it's not a mandible, but some stuff poking out of his head that comes down around his face.
Mm-hmm. Some kind of tubing.
Yeah, more tubing.
And they talk about how, it's Dark Force. He's messing with the whole solar system somehow from his lodge here. He's
totally immobile, yet he's responsible for all this bad stuff.
Yeah.
Whatever.
Mm-hmm.
So we gotta fight this guy. He's pretty easy except for that lightning shower spell that he has, which can do a lot of damage.
To everybody all at once.
Yeah, to everyone.
I guess he kind of does look like a crab, actually.
That's what I'm saying.
He's got 6 pinchery legs, and he's got 2, like, big pinchers coming off the side.
Yeah.
It's interesting. I guess you're right. Sorry to have mocked you, Jim. Not terribly sorry, because it was fun, but, you know.
Matt, did you have any trouble with this boss?
Which one was this? Dark Force?
Dark Force.
I mean, he was a pain, for sure. But I did manage to come out of it with the whole party alive. So, and in one shot. So it wasn't too bad. He, towards the end, started trying to cast, like, Nightmare or something a lot, which really helped me out.
What do you mean?
How so?
Because most of the time it missed. And so it was like he wasted a turn. And even when it didn't miss, I didn't seem to do anything. Like, he got Chaz once, but Chaz, like, shook it off immediately. I don't know what that spell does, but so it was just like free turns for me. So instead of healing every turn, because he would attack the whole party every turn, like that piece of shit, LaForge or whatever his name was. Yeah, instead of having to heal every turn like that, I was able to get in some macros and shit and do some damage. So yeah, I managed to take him out. It wasn't bad.
Arn Anderson. Well, yeah, I'll totally wear your singlet. Oh, hey, you guys are back. I just wanted to say that Dark Force used Nightmare when you meet him midway through Phantasy Star 1 to kill off your team members one by one in what turns out to be a nightmare in the Motavia governor's house. And that is a clue for something that happens at the end of the game. Phantasy Star 1. Pretty neat. All right, Arn, so what were we saying?
Yeah, he has, I think, around 5... No, wait. I think this guy's got like 7,500 hit points.
Yes, yeah.
Which is quite a few for a boss.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
But he goes down eventually, like they all do.
Mm-hmm.
And this part actually made me laugh because when you beat him, everyone is marveling about how beautiful the sky looks now that the blizzard's over. But then you look over your shoulder and Gumbia's temple explodes.
Yeah. Just straight up disintegrates. Blowed up.
Yeah, but you go there and you go to talk to the bishop guy. And I mean, everybody's fine.
Yeah. But the bishop says that a ray of pure hatred destroyed the temple.
Oh, I didn't see that. That's so stupid.
Yeah. He was just like, I don't know what happened. It was just like pure hate. What are you going to do?
That sucks. But he tells you that even though you destroyed the dark force, there's another force called the profound darkness.
Bum, bum, bum.
Oh, come on.
Which he says, like, is now stirring since you've defeated both of the dark forces.
Okay.
Yeah, what did they call this? Even darker force? Extra dark force?
Super dark force.
So dark force that
Darkest
you won't even
force.
believe how dark it is. Darkest force. Darkest
like
farce?
the kind of dark where you have like the light blocking shades and it's nighttime and you've put a piece of duct tape under your door to block out any light from the hallway. That level of dark.
So if dark
force.
force is, if we've killed dark force, but there's a darker force.
If we kill dark force, but there's an even darker force, I guess we got to go light up this dark force.
I guess so.
Get it lit so it's not dark anymore.
So if the first two dark forces that we fought weren't actually dark force, does that make them a dark farce?
Oh,
hey.
that was worth the wait.
There it is. There's the episode title right there.
Dark Farce. I like it. Wait. What about Dark Farts?
No, that doesn't make any sense. You've taken a perfectly good pun
That's
and
not
you
true.
have dragged it
there was
into
all
the
this
toilet.
bad breath and stuff in his castle. What do you think
Bad breath is not a fart.
You don't know.
I guess it is that just comes out the other way.
What are we talking about?
What do you think Dark Force's farts smell like?
Sulfur,
Like hatred.
Like a beam of pure
Licorice.
hatred? Is that what that
anise
was?
seeds and sulfur. Yeah, that's what it was. So now we gotta go find Super Dark. And
Yeah.
how do we determine where it's at?
Well, you talk to the bishop, and he tells you about the profound darkness and how you need to defeat it. And then he says the only thing he knows about it is that the profound darkness is looking for Rykros.
What?
And then Lutz is like, hey, oh no, he's like, the only thing I know about Rykros is that the arrow prism will shine the way to Rykros. And Lutz is like, hey, I know where the arrow prism is. It's in the Soldier's Temple back on that first planet, Matavia.
This is a bunch of nonsense.
It is. It doesn't make, it's just a series of words.
I mean,
Yeah.
it's a series of MacGuffins to move you along to the next boss fight.
Right.
Yeah, this
That's been this entire
is
game.
like they're constantly dangling the carrot in front of you in this game.
But even if you had like a couple NPCs around town being like, oh, you know, the legend of the arrow prism or something, you know, like give us a hint that this is on
they're
the
not-
way.
There's like nothing in this game is established until it's important.
Mm-hmm.
So there's no underlying lore that you can kind of become aware of throughout the game. It's just like, well, it really just seems like everybody's making stuff up.
Mm-hmm.
It's crazy.
So we're off to this temple, but
The races.
it's in the middle of a lake, and despite the fact that we have a spaceship, this seems to really flummox our characters as to how they can possibly get across a lake.
Yeah, so we have to go back to the spaceport, and then the android lady that got swallowed up by the spaceport
Demi!
says, "Oh, hey, here's a boat ship called
Hydrofoil.
a hydrofoil."
Which I think is hilarious. That's
Yeah.
like a...
Oh, and that
That's just
that
a Florida
blue-haired
fan
girl
boat.
does not go with you.
Oh, no, she leaves, which is good, because she sucked bad.
Yeah. Well,
Yeah.
and she also she says goodbye to everyone, and she says, "Goodbye, Chaz. You're like a little brother."
Yeah.
And then Chaz goes, "Am I that incompetent?" Or
What?
something like that.
Yeah.
Which I thought was a strange way to interpret that statement.
Oh, you know, one thing I was going to talk about this. One thing that really made me laugh in the air castle when you encounter the illusions is that the android guy in your party, Ren, is just like, well, yeah, that's them. Those are those rascals that took the Eclipse Torch. And I was like, that's a really weird word to use, rascals.
If we're going back, there was a point that I meant to bring up early on, which is that Chaz is a dickhead. When they go to that temple and talk to that priest about the torch, the guy's like, "No, I'm not going to give you our religious
Right.
artifact." And he goes, "Boy, you just don't get it, do you?" Like, no, dude. No, I'm sorry, alien from another planet. I will not give you my 2,000-year-old religious relic.
Right.
But then it gets nabbed.
Mm-hmm.
All right. So, is that it for this episode, or did we?
Well, we go back to Krupp, and we jump in the hydrofoil, and we make our way across the lake. We go into the cave, and we're greeted by a very friendly, very kind of buff-looking, mustachioed archaeologist named Seth.
Yep. He's just like, "What's up? My name's Seth.
I'm
There's
handsome.
monsters in this cave."
There's monsters in this cave. He
So
says,
I'm
"I
gonna
trust
come
in
too."
my own abilities," which I found.
He also has a cool bandana.
Yeah. And they think he's great. They really hit it off right away, and so they don't have a problem bringing him on their world-saving mission.
I like to wonder to myself when we get these new characters, what's going to happen that they have to leave? Like, a couple of them have left. One got sucked into a machine and became part of the machine. One got sick. One
Who
died.
did we ever go back and check on that guy?
No, who
I
cares?
went back and checked on him, and he was still in bed, and he's like, I'm feeling better, but I still need to rest. Kind of like me today.
Oh.
You're Raja.
I'm Rajad.
All right. So I guess I can talk about something here because I made a big old dumb mistake. So
Let's pad this episode out a little bit.
Listen, well, it won't take me too
Filler
long.
time.
Listeners, I got a little mixed up there, and for some reason thought I had to go do this guild mission, Hunter's Guild mission, and went and did that right before going to see Seth. And the reason that's funny is because I was doing this like 5 minutes before we started recording. And I didn't need to do this at all, but there is a side mission. Well, there's a bunch, but there is a Hunter's Guild, what do they call it? Job. There's a Hunter's Guild job that pays 80,000 meseta, which is a lot.
That's a lot of meseta.
And
a
you
lot
have
of
to
meseta.
go talk to this guy, and I want to say like Vera or one of the fucking towns. And he goes, you walk into this town and you get attacked by these 3 like golem looking robots, like iron, like clay golem looking robots, and they die pretty quick. But some old man in town is like, somebody's got to find out what's causing all these robot attacks. and I'm like, all right, well, I guess I have to go do this. And they send me across the waves to yet another temple. It's not really a temple. It's more of like a base.
You called it a fort earlier.
Yes, that's right. It was Valhall Fort or Vagina Fort. So I went to Vag Fort, and it's another robo temple like all these other ones, and it is so stupid and long. No, it actually wasn't that long at all.
Oh.
Thankfully,
This was a real turnaround in your story.
But, it was a little bit long because apparently there's all of Ren's best stuff is in this temple.
Oh.
So I went and got all of his top tier armor and his top tier weapon, or maybe it's not his top tier weapon, but you also pick up a final skill for Ren, and it's his best skill in the game as well.
Oh, gosh.
Like his most powerful attack. So
it sounds like it's worth going to.
Yeah, and it didn't really take that long. And the plus side is that the bosses at the end are robots, so they're susceptible to that circuit break skill that you can set up. It is a combination of maybe a Zan spell and Ren's. What's his thingy that he does? The hydro?
I don't know.
The Mopolyps? All right, you know what?
The Mopolyps.
It's a combination of things that Ren and Rune can do together, and it will insta-kill any robots on the screen. So that made the final boss fight very easy.
Did either of you go to the weapons factory?
No.
I did not.
I did, and it's on the frozen planet. I went before I went to the air castle, and I wandered around it. There's some switches and levers, and there's some conveyor belts, which I hate, but nothing attacked me on the conveyor belt, so I was pretty okay with it. And you kind of go through it, and I could not find any kind of ultimate boss or anything to do in there.
Weird.
It's full of chests and things like that. I don't know if I just missed it, but I walked around a lot. Eventually, I came to a computer terminal that gives you unlimited repair kits, but
nice.
You have a limited inventory, so there were only so many I could take.
That's still good.
But it was a good leveling place.
So he doesn't die on me much, at least.
Have you guys run into the issue where you're constantly maxing out your inventory?
Yes, all the time.
I've not managed to do that once.
All the time I'm having to throw away Meseta and Stardew because I don't even know what that does. And
I don't know what the Stardews or the Moon
I
Dews
do, and they're handy. Moon Dew will bring a party member back to life at half health. Stardew bring a party member back to life at full health. And the final one is the Soul, S-O, or Sol, I guess, Dew.
Solar Dew.
Sol Dew. And that one gives everybody in the party 128 health. It heals everybody for 128 health. Really weird number, but it works.
Yeah, why 128? That's weird.
Why not? What do you got against 128?
That's a good question. Why not?
Yeah. It's a number just as well as any other number.
Okay, come on. Stardew is the one that heals 128 points for everyone in the party. And if you're throwing them out, you are crazy. Especially Stardew. Stardew's the one you want to keep because it heals everybody and it's super useful. And Vanessa's right about the weapons factory, though. You don't really need to do it, but it's super good for leveling and getting cash. So I recommend doing it. And you get a couple of weapons and I think a bonus skill for Ren in there.
That's true.
Yeah, can't deny that.
So, on a scale of 1 to 10, how
Can't
excited
I?
are you guys to have Seth in your party?
10.5.
What are the odds? Okay, so we've talked about how the other characters have departed. I'm going to say this guy dies.
Oh no,
Alice
I couldn't
died.
stand it. I just met him and he's already my favorite. I'm going to say that his mustache is shaved off by a very aggressive boss and he runs away in shame.
Ooh, that's sad.
I see that one. I get that.
Or he's an archaeologist, so probably he finds something and he's like, I'm going to stay here and study this.
I'm going to stay here and study this.
The profound darkness is actually just his mustache.
Or maybe he has to run away from a giant rolling boulder.
That would be fun.
It
Fun
would be
minigame.
fun. There haven't been any mini games in this episode, but I guess since John isn't here today, it's okay. So we can just round out his corner.
Have there
So
been
it
any
isn't
in this
there
game?
No more.
No.
Mm-mm.
Okay. I was going to say, I don't remember any.
You don't remember anything.
So that's it for this episode. Next time on Square Roots, we're gonna beat this game.
Yes!
Yeah.
We're
I like the way you say that. It's optimistic. We are going to
Yeah.
beat it.
I mean,
we can
We're
win.
gonna
We
find
can
out
do
what
it.
happens
We
to
always
Seth
do.
and whether he keeps his mustache or not. We're gonna face the profound darkness, and let's all cross our fingers that Chaz becomes less of a tool in the next
You
episode.
probably
I doubt
won't,
it.
but I'll face
Yeah.
the dark farts anyway.
So before we go, let's talk about what we are squarely against. Vanessa, why don't you go first?
Okay.
Make somebody else go first.
I'm squarely against the disgusting flesh cave full of globules of dried or perhaps still wet, clear fluid. It wasn't really explicit whether or not they were squishy or hardened. Either way, I don't think it's great. I never want to go into something like that again. Why you do it, game? There was no point to it. There's no reason to make it fleshy and gross. You're just trying to gross me, and it worked. I didn't like it. It's bad. Squarely against.
On a scale of 1 to 10, how sexy was that dungeon?
Well, I mean, Ruin was still there, so not a 0.
Rune is the sex object of this game.
Of course he is.
obviously.
You seen that hair?
Yeah, he has a long, sort of periwinkle blue ponytail. He has the memories of a very old man in his head. There's nothing sexier than
The
that.
sexiest.
He has a cape. He has a white cape. I mean, you see a man walking down the street in a white cape, you're going to turn your head.
I mean, because you just know.
So even now that fucking Tom Selleck, Seth, archaeologist, is in the mix, it's still Rune?
Well, he wasn't there in the cave. So
That's true.
I can't say how that would have changed the equation. So let's give it like a 2.5 on the sexy scale.
I'll tell you how that dungeon would have changed if Seth was in there. It would have been a lot wetter.
Gross.
Matt, what are you squarely against?
I can't think of anything to be squarely against or for. At this point, I just kind of nothing this game. Hey, Phantasy Star 4?
Matt has no feelings about
nothing
this
you.
game.
Oh,
I mean, the one bad
Interesting.
experience I had was that one boss, but that was more my fault than the game's. So,
it's a big
You're
man
squarely
to admit
against
that.
yourself.
Oh.
I mean, I'm just kind of I'm kind of roundly against everything right now. I'm squarely for all of this Phantasy Star IV fan art I'm looking up online right now.
Oh, no.
It's dumb.
I am squarely against the encounter rate at this point in the game. It's stupid.
Oh, that's
It
a good one.
is. Every 3 steps, that's too much.
Yeah, every 3 seconds, that's way too much.
Yeah.
I do have a lot of meseta, though.
Do you? I always manage to spend basically all of it immediately.
You're a big spender.
Okay, yep, that's a good point. That's why every time I go to the strip club, they scream, "Make it rain!" And then I'm like, I guess I'll spray some water on you because I don't actually have any money at all.
Oh.
Meseta Matt. That's what they call you. Money Matt.
Money Matt.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Well, everybody, that's it for this episode of Square Roots. Let's go ahead and talk about the next game that we're going to play. The next series, the next season of Square Roots is going to be PlayStation's Grandia.
Yay!
Yeah.
More JRPG goodness.
And
I know nothing
voice
about this
acting.
game.
And voice acting.
Have you played Grandia?
No.
There is some sweet, annoying voice acting.
Well, that's exciting.
Unskippable voice acting.
Oh, even better.
Oh, boy.
But the game itself is very fun. But there's a lot to talk about with Grandia. I'm excited.
Are you?
It's a good game.
Though?
I am kind of.
I hope it's kind of a short game though. I think after Grandia we're gonna have to maybe dive into back into some Western stuff.
I think that's the plan,
Hey.
not to give away the horse.
I know.
Yeah.
I'm trying to hint, Vanessa. I'm giving him hints.
Oh, okay.
Hinty.
Hint. That's
After
that's the
Grandia?
plan. Hint.
It's a real tale.
Grandia looks cute, so I'm excited to play a cute game because that's my favorite.
You don't think Phantasy Star is cute?
No, I don't. I mean, well, there's Seth. I do not. I think that Sega games tended to stay away from the cuteness because they were trying to be the cool console.
Interesting. I didn't think of it like that, but I think you're right.
Mm-hmm.
Great insight, Vanessa.
Yeah, you're welcome. So I'm excited to see this game with my baby fresh eyes.
Ooh, Matthew, have you played Grandia before?
I have
Are you going to be a
not.
baby fresh eyes?
Baby fresh eyes, a little baby fresh eyes. Never seen
I'm
this game
excited.
before. Never heard this game before. Since this has voice acting, we'll also be little baby fresh ears.
Oh,
Ooh, that's true. Oh man, I can't wait for that because the voice acting is pretty painful in this game.
Why are we playing this then? Is this a Bard's Tale
'Cause it's a
situation,
fun game.
Jim?
Why do we do anything we do?
Well, that's the real
You
question.
guys are gonna like
I
it.
hope so. All right. I think we did it. Short episode, too.
Yeah, that's it for this episode of Square Roots. That's the third time I've said that, by the way. But before we go, let's remind everyone that we do, in fact, have an email address for email correspondence. It is squarerootspodcast@gmail.com. We also have a Facebook group for Facebook shenanigans. It's the Square Roots podcast group for smart, cool, very attractive people. And we have a Twitter for tweeting. It is @SquareRootsPod.
You can also shoot us a line in Twitter, Facebook, etc. if you want to join our Discord, which is a lot of fun.
Oh yeah, we do have a Discord. Yes. Like Matthew said, send us something over somewhere and let us know you're interested, and we'll send you an invite.
And that's how that works.
Mm-hmm. Our theme song for this series is by Sharp Rain Music. Check out their YouTube for tons of awesome video game covers. Link in the show notes. Also, please rate, review, and subscribe on iTunes or wherever you listen to your podcast. If you screenshot your review and post it to our Facebook group or Twitter, John will tell you how he leveled up, or I'm sorry, how you leveled up, provided he is not still sleeping.
Yeah, he's a sleepy bear. No, but I have something to say.
Yes.
Okay.
Something serious. So
Vanessa's
put on
got
your
something
serious
to
hats.
say.
Well, this is a serious podcast.
She
so-
killed
Yeah,
her
this is
mother
a serious
today.
podcast.
She's going to jail
It is
for
a
matricide.
pleasure to do this podcast. I think we have a lot of fun and we enjoy playing the games. But it's still really nice to know that there are people out there who are enjoying what we're doing. And some days when you're trying to push through that extra hour of game and you have some other game maybe you'd rather play beside Phantasy Star, it's really nice to get a review and say, hey, I like this. Please do more. So thank you, listeners. We love you.
Yeah, we appreciate you guys.
I mean, I'm
gals.
kind of ambivalent towards you, but all right.
Matthew plays the games to spite you. All right, everyone. For the 4th time, that's it for this episode of Square Roots. I'm Jim Banks.
Jim, is that it for this episode of Square Roots?
I think so.
I'm Matthew Van Zant.
Where's John?
I don't know. Where is John?
John's in Dreamland.
Is he? He hasn't responded to us at all. I'm starting to get worried.
Yeah, me too. Well, perhaps this will be dedicated to the memory of John Brandon.
Oh, shit, Vanessa. Don't put that fucking evil on him. Don't curse our
And
podcast.
I'm Vanessa.
Bye. Bye.
Bye. I just realized I totally forgot to think of a last time. That was exciting timing. All right, hang on. I can do it. I can do it on the fly. Last time we went to a satellite. Blast off. How was that?
What even did happen last time?
Let's see. We got a spaceship. No, wait, that was the time before last time. Oh, I remember. Last time we met some penguins and some kitty cats.
Oh, yeah.
That's probably all that they need to know. Do you want me to put that more eloquently? I don't know if I can.
Yeah.
All right, let me think. Here, last time on Square Roots. Okay. It's not very clever, but I'm going to use a cute voice, and that will make up for it.